Hey everybody, Happy New Year. It's Leanne with Paper Heart Scissors, and I have a 5 card, 1 background January card kit from Simon Says Stamp group of cards for you, and a new project for the new year, which I will explain. So here is the Frozen Fractals stamp set. The card kits have been selling out. So if you find that you really want them and you're missing it a lot, you should subscribe so that you're on the list and you're guaranteed a kit. And today I am going to use just the stamps and the papers that came in the kit because you can replicate them, and some other products from my stash which you can find, or you can either replace with something that you have. So we're going to use some Nuvo drops, and these are the Jewel drops, which are the translucent ones. So that is clear and sea breeze blue, and then just some Nina Solar white. Those are blue vellums. They came in the kit. You could use white. You don't have to use blue. And that cornflower blue is the new cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to use that little Avery L dog, Happy Holidays, and a snowflake die that I got. But you can use any snowflake die that you have, or you can use simply those little white snowflakes that came in the kit, or you could even I mean, if you wanted to, you could stamp some in white, and you could even just not add them on like I did. So I stamped the same background pattern that I made and I set up in the MISTI on all of my different cardstocks and the vellums in different inks. That is the Blue Yonder Ranger dye ink, and then I flipped that card around, and I'm going to use the Simon Says Stamp Barely Blue for the second pass, so that I'm going to get the snowflakes running down the card in a really nice arrangement, and that will be a beautiful background for something. I don't know what yet. I stamped the Nina Desert Storm and some Distress ink and the Cornflower Blue with the Simon Says Stamp Ultrafine white embossing powder. And this is the Ranger holographic embossing powder on the vellum. And this is Audrey Blue, double stamped via the MISTI onto Audrey Blue cardstock. And I just love it. You can see, I like the double inking with the tone on tone. It really looked gorgeous. That stamp chamois came in the kit. However, it is from Lawn Fawn, and you can also buy the one I'm about to show you at Daiso for, it's a big car one. You can cut it in half. It's $1. That is the background pattern from Distress Ink, and I took Evergreen Bough here, Broken China, and Mermaid Lagoon. And I really I wanted to get to kind of that teal coloration. And if you combine the Evergreen Bough with the Mermaid Lagoon, especially, but I wanted it to have 3 colors. So you'll see how I put the lighter color at the bottom, and then I kind of bring the darkest color in from the edges, the Mermaid Lagoon being the darkest color. But when you look out the window in the forest on a snowy day, or it really has this green, white, teal kind of look because you see all the pine and all the fir. So I love the idea of using the Evergreen Bough with the Broken China and with the Mermaid Lagoon to get that same kind of quality on the paper. And then I did it with Distress Ink on distress paper because I wanted to spatter the paper with some water and get all of those lovely water spots going on the paper to add to that effect. And I'm sorry that this is kind of somewhat off camera. I really need to better position my camera for my body now in the new year. it'll be a goal for me. Or draw a line or something that says, "Do not pull this down out of the pit frame." Anyway, so now I'm adding the Mermaid Lagoon. You can kind of see it doesn't look very dark here, but I'm actually just keep going with it until I build up very slowly. You can see I'm really applying hardly any pressure at all because I don't want marks from the blending tool. And as I start using that darker color especially, I kind of start off the side of the paper and just come in with literally no pressure. And if you go slow like this, you'll get a perfect blend every time. Every time I get impatient and I start trying to press harder, that's when I start getting sponge marks, and I just have to add more and more ink to hide them. So if you do want one of these light blends, you take it from Laura Basson and you just barely touch your blending tool to the distress ink paper. And then I sprayed water in my hand and just flicked it. I like the size of the drops that I get better with that, and I didn't trust myself with the distress sprayer. I do have one, but it scares me. So I do it this way. And then I'm going to add a little more ink on top just to soften it a little bit. It was a little too white, but I'm really liking the appearance of that now. And I will show you that I am going to use some Nuvo drops on the top of this, the clear translucent ones. And so I made these the night before, and literally they're wonderful. You can get any size that you want. You just hold it down for as long as you want, and you pull straight upwards with kind of a little pop, and it will settle into a perfectly round, like little raindrop shape. It's fabulous. And this is, the color is Sea Breeze of that one. And then this is just the crystal drops in white, and all the supplies will be listed below the video too, so you can check it out. But you can see how I'm kind of letting it sit there and then letting it pop back up. So they're opaque when they're wet, and when they're dry, ta-da, they're clear. And they come off of the craft sheet really easily. You can just put them in a little dish and keep them to the side and use them. So I glue them on with Ranger Multimedia Matte. You can also apply them directly to your project, but if you are using distress ink, it will reactivate because it's wet. I'm having a lot of problems here. They don't work with the Crystal Katana. They work with your hands. What I was saying is, if you apply the Nuvo drops directly to your project, like I'm doing here, I'll show you at the end, it's going to reactivate the color, and so your drop isn't going to be clear. It's going to be whatever color the distress ink is underneath it, which could be a desired effect. That could be a really good thing. And I'll show you after that dries what that looks like so you can see. You can see that it's opaque on the card. I had made a smudge. I had to fix that. There is the card with our cute little Christmas dog, who is now a wintry pup. And I love him. I colored with Copic markers in 4 colors. Simple, 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 guys. Really simple. One C3 for his body, and his ears is the light gray, Cool Gray 3. And then I used Cool Gray 5 to give him a shadow on the back of his leg and at the tops of his ears. And then I used, for the teals, BG23 and BG34. And then you can see on the finished card in the picture that I colored a little ground under him with B000. And I don't think I show that in the video. So, and then I went back over that with the C5. Darken up the shadows around him, and then I came back in with the C3 and just blended that all together, and he is adorable. If you want to hide him from the inside of the card, you can take just a really lightweight piece of cardstock or paper, and you can just cut to fit that inside. Or you can certainly color him, place him inside on the cover, and then put your window on top. Raise that up so that he's not showing through to the other side of the base. So there he is, and then I also did one in blues, which you'll see in a minute, and I give you those Copic colors as well. And then I'm going to go back into the scarf a little bit with the darker color of teal. I wanted that to pop a little bit more, match the Audrey blue a little bit better. So now there's not much highlight there, but I go in and I just add the darker color just under his chin and in those folds, and I was really happy with it. And it was just simple. You didn't have to go overboard with the coloring on this. And you can see I've kind of already decided what my layout is. I didn't even move the window off of him because I was just kind of making sure I was positioning that properly. So here is the next card. I colored him with the blue scarf, and I took some white cardstock, and I did use the Simon Says scallop dies, and I cut a little panel there, and then I stamped in that blue yonder, the Ranger die, on the cornflower blue cardstock, and now I'm using embossing ink. I'm using the Wow embossing pad, and I am going to stamp on that scallop panel, but in the exact same position. So when I put that on top of the cornflower blue panel, those snowflakes are going to be continuous, and they are going to look like they run from one to the next. I'm going to use some Ranger holographic embossing powder here and show you how absolutely gorgeous this looks. It looks beautiful before it's embossed, and it looks even better after. It's very glittery and very sticky, so just be warned, you now know. But there it is. It is really so beautiful. It looks like a snowy day, and that's going to be for our sentiment and our little dog to sit on top of. You will see I fudged the sentiment. I made a mistake. And so I had to create a way to put him on the card that would cover it. So I made that white banner. You could see that I had that sentiment on the blue panel all set up to be working there, but that's not going to happen. And these are how your cards get better. And so I put the white banner down below, and I glued that directly to the card base over the messed up sentiment that I put my finger into when it was still wet. And then I cut another little banner and heat embossed that with the fine detail Simon Says stamp embossing powder as well, with the Snow Much Thanks sentiment. And then I am putting my little pup on top of that, and he's going to be dimensionally on top of the card. So he's going to sit at the highest level, and we're going to put the whole banner and him together. So he's glued to the banner, which has some foam tape on the bottom of it. And so that's holding him up, the whole banner up, and then he is sitting up on top of, you can see there's the foam tape. And there are 2 layers of foam tape underneath the blue part of the banner on the right-hand side, because he's popped up too. And so that is the third card. Now I will tell you, and I'm going to put some of those Nuva drops that had dried on there, and you can just see they are so cool. I love them. They look like they're water droplets, or like snow is kind of melted, and they're just subtle, but they're pretty without being overlords. So I made a mistake, and for some reason I lost the video for this, but this is an example of a really simple card that you can make with that background. You make the background pattern, you die cut the thanks out of it, and you die cut a thanks out of white, and then you puzzle piece it in there and fill in the holes with the one that you cut out of the same color of the card that you made. I trimmed it down and I put a little piece of glitter tape on the left hand side and just added some embellishments, and it's just a really simple, really pretty card you could easily mass produce. This one I also cut out a bunch of different thanks. You can see them up above, and you can make them as thick as you want. I'm actually using a banner that I cut out of the blue vellum, but that could be white vellum, or you could literally color a piece of vellum partially blue behind there, or you could ink it if you wanted to. I've done that before as well. It works. And I'm using a little Ranger Multimedia mat, and I'm gluing that sentiment to the banner, and then I'm going to glue some of the sequins from the kit, which are just white and silver, onto the Nina Desert Storm cardstock that also has the same background pattern embossed in white fine detail embossing powder. And I cut out some extra snowflakes. I really wanted this to be mostly white, except for that blue banner. So that was my attempt at that. I'm using only white sequins as well. Taking a little bit of the Ranger Multimedia mat and just putting it on the vellum behind the type so it's hidden. And you really don't see this at all when it dries. It's a wonderful way to do it. You can use a quickie glue pen for this too. It's really wonderful to get in small areas. I didn't have mine, but that's a really good solution for, you can almost just trace the type and then glue it on. I picked it up. I wanted to make sure it was in the right place. And then replace the block over that little snowflake just for a few minutes. Place another snowflake on top of the vellum on the outside, and that's actually going to hold that on there as well. So it's secured down on both sides as well. And I'll just stick the block on top of there. While I finish this, I'm going to put another little sequin inside that sequin that is stamped and embossed. And I could have used for another layer of white on here. I realized I could have used the Delicata ink and filled in there too and gotten that shimmery look, or I could have used the Delicata and then put clear, and I didn't, but it's an option that you could do. I thought of it afterwards. So these are the 5 cards that I made with the same background pattern. And you can see, I'm showing you the distress. There's the clear ones that I put on that really reflect the color that the drop was. They're clear. You can see when I put the clear directly on the distress ink, they're now blue. They're still cool looking and I still like them, but it's just a difference. So whatever your project kind of demands, you can see there, oh, that's clear. Yeah, because it's on white paper. There's our other little pup on the ground. There is our thank you card on the craft. These were so easy and simple to make, you guys. Make your parts and just put them together. I could have made 6 of the one. So now on to our New Year project. I decided to start making a tag for every kit. And this is January's tag. It has a separate video that is on my YouTube channel, and it will be linked in the last frame, and you can go watch that. And at the end of the year, we will do a project where we pull them all together and put them in a project. So I hope you're inspired. I hope you go check out the new video with all of the tags, and visit me on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere else that you are on social media. Don't forget to subscribe and leave me a thumbs up if you like this video, and I will see you soon. Happy New Year! Bye-bye!